for this attack to Republican Congressman, retired Air Force Captain Brian Babin, on how the strategy maybe needs to change or get updated. And Congressman, one of the things I was wondering about here is the fact that this venue, if you think about it, in Manchester, England, not London, not Paris, not New York City, a much smaller city, 500,000 by comparison to some of these places where it's a factor many times that. And I was just thinking of similar-sized U.S. cities that would include Fresno, California, or Albany, New York, or Tulsa. I could go on and on. That does change our what we think of as vulnerable locales, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, Neil. Good to be with you today. I'm angry and I'm frustrated when I see these types of attacks. You know, it could happen here. It will happen here. I'm frustrated and angry because I've had a couple of bills out for almost 2 years now to try to stop some of these influx of some of these potential terrorists. Our president has had executive orders which have been thwarted by the Ninth Circuit and several federal judges on the West Coast. And when will they learn? Well, how many Americans, how many British, how many Western Europeans are going to have to die before the left wakes up and says, hey, these are dangerous visa, refugee, immigration, migrant policies that don't take into consideration the safety of our own citizens. And when these people like ISIS, whether this is ISIS or not, I know they're claiming responsibility, when they target 8-year-old children, then it is time to lower the boom on these folks. And I want to commend our president for going after them over there, but we have to be on our P's and Q's here as well. A terrorist should never have a good night's sleep without worrying about whether he's going to wake up in the morning or not. We have to go after these people 100%, and we've got to implement these executive orders and my bills as well to stop these dangerous programs.
You know, much has been made of the fact that President today referred to them as losers, not just monsters or evildoers, that sort of thing, but to sort of ratchet the debate a little bit to make them think you think you're heroic, you think you're going to go to Allah and you're going to be praised and loved and worshipped and 72 virgins and all that. The fact of the matter is you're a loser. How does that change the debate, do you think?
Well, I think somebody's finally getting past the political correctness and calling them what they are. They're savages. They're absolutely remorseless. They're cruel. They're radical, and these are people that you cannot deal with. And so there's only one way to deal with them, and that's with the strong arm of brute force or military, good law enforcement, and good policies to keep these people from infiltrating our refugee programs and so on and so forth, because we know they're going to target the weakest, the most vulnerable of our populations just to get their point across. And so for that reason, I really can't wait for these executive orders to make their way up to the Supreme Court now that we've got a new Supreme Court justice in Gorsuch, and let's get these things implemented. My goodness, these executive orders were as reasonable as they come, 120 days long, very reasonable. And so this is what we need to do.
Congressman Babin, by the way, for those who don't know, a retired Air Force captain, served his country very, very honorably. He doesn't like to brag about that, but I just played with G.I. Joes, so I'm nothing close. Congressman, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Neil. Good to be with you.
All right. In the